Mr. Speaker, sir, members of Parliament, preparing to debate on the Foreign Interference Countermeasures Bill was a challenge. I'm a doctor. I do not know much about espionage except than what I read from newspapers or James Bond movies. I had not intended to speak until a few doctors and SMA staff approached me privately and separately to raise their concerns. So how could FICA affect those of us in medicine? Well, firstly, many doctors volunteer or lead various NGOs, mostly on medical and humanitarian missions, but also for social goals. Some doctors have patients who are political office holders in other countries. The SMA is part of Medical Association of Southeast Asian Nations, the Confederation of Medical Associations in Asia and Oceania, and the World Medical Association. The SMA also works closely with Ministry of Health on local healthcare decisions. As many of you here would know, Dr. Po Sukai was one of the founders of the SMA and served as its first honorary secretary from 1959 to 1961. He was also arrested and detained without trial during Operation Cold Sore in 1963 and under the Internal Security Act in 1976. I was born in 1980 and grew up without much knowledge of such matters. What's past is history, and I do not question it here. My being here now as an NMP and being the current president of the SMA has made the wearing of multiple hats complicated. I state for the record that I speak now as an individual to seek clarity on the intent and the extent of the FICA bill. I agree that there should never be foreign interference in a country's politics. As an ordinary citizen, I have remained blissfully unaware of how threats of Singapore have manifested, except for what is reported in mainstream news. Arresting a human agent with proof of radicalization or obvious threats to the stability of Singapore is easy for us to accept. But in the modern world, it is scary to learn that modern threats can be subtle through social media, bots, ads, sponsored articles, and posts to erode trust in the government, to take advantage of social fault lines, and sow discord. This is a real threat, and we as a nation have to learn to defend ourselves against these threats. Where my opinion differs is how best to tackle it. The bill grants extensive powers to the minister to enforce and regulate anyone or any organization with an online presence, from the content produced down to the operations. While this may scare off the malicious, I am afraid that it may also scare away people who are genuinely interested in improving our nation. How can we recognize the difference between an activist for human rights from one whose motivations are political in nature? I list 3 key concerns. 1. Regulating and restricting the political space further may deter genuine individuals. 2. Organizations may want or even need collaborations and support with other foreign entities to survive and thrive. 3. The minister will be granted extensive discretion in addition to existing power under ISA and POFMA. Section 8 provides a very broad definition of what activities, quote, directed towards a political end in Singapore, unquote, means. This is of concern as any organization engaging in such could be designated a politically significant person under Part 4 of the bill and will be subjected to multiple additional requirements, such as the reporting of foreign donations and being subject to declare and may be directed to stop taking in foreign volunteers. So this brings me to my first concern, that we need to leave some space for people to participate as active citizens in shaping our future. Desiring to influence public opinion or decisions is part and parcel of advocacy. Increasing reporting requirements opens up a small organization to potentially be targeted and increases the barrier for citizens who wants to participate and contribute, or just to simply air their views. Ground-up initiatives may think twice. My next concern is about how Singapore relates to the wider world. The bill empowers the minister to direct a person to account for all donations, possibly return donations, and even stop taking volunteers who are not Singapore citizens. I feel this is unrealistic. Singapore is an open country with organizations forming many collaborations, especially NGOs that might need the scale to ensure that their services are accessible by others. it seems impossible to expect that people should be deterred from seeking sponsorships beyond Singapore, and also that volunteers and manpower should only be limited to Singapore citizens. Singaporeans may ourselves shy away from working for NGOs for fear of being unwittingly implicated, real or imagined. I would like to believe that for every malicious person out there, there are way more well-intentioned people who want to support Singapore in its growth, not hinder it. But this requires a lot more trust and faith in the people to do the right thing. This bill equally asks for a lot of trust and faith in the minister to do the right thing. There is great discretion given to the minister on how to exercise the extensive powers under the bill. It is a lot of power in one man's hands. How can we protect it from future abuse? Could it be spread out? Not just to the different branches in the judiciary, but also across the people. Let them call for accountability and transparency in organizations they work with. Let organizations regulate among themselves who are the right people to seek sponsorships or volunteer work from. Let safeguards be what they are. Limited protections for the worst-case scenario, not preemptive strikes against people who may be just trying to do the right thing. Quoting the MINDEF website, total defense involves every Singaporean playing a part, individually and collectively, to build a strong, secure, and cohesive nation. The 6 pillars are military, civil, economic, social, digital, and psychological defense. In this digital age, foreign interference is no longer a problem that should only be left to the government to guard against. Every citizen should be empowered to step up, to be vigilant, and to hold each other accountable. I believe that public education is essential. An educated population will be able to better discern right from wrong, facts from myth. Before this bill is passed, I ask Minister to give us some assurance on the appropriate use of FICA so that the ordinary citizen, like myself, can serve and work for the betterment of Singapore without undue fear. Thank you.